walking in the park. Suddenly an earthquake struck. In order to protect my wife, I had one of my arms severed by a fallen street lamp, and my daughter was also affected, suffering from a concussion and passing out directly. But as my wife got up from the ground, she didn't even spare a glance at me or our daughter. At a speed of 180 miles per hour, she pulled out her phone and called a man. Her words filled with a nervousness and concern I had never seen before. It turned out that she had always harbored feelings for someone else, her first love. After hanging up the phone, without looking back, my wife went to find her first love, ignoring all my attempts to stop her. Later, when our daughter was diagnosed with leukemia, I begged her to go to the hospital to see her, but she chose to spend the night with her first love instead. It wasn't until our daughter passed away that I presented the divorce agreement to her, and she, as if insane, begged me to stay. Please, give me another chance. I saw Jiang Li again at the hospital, with my arm bandaged. I got the medicine for our daughter, and as I walked towards her room, I saw Jiang Li sitting in the next ward, tenderly caring for a little boy. How, does it still hurt? Jiang Li stroked Hao's face with a worried expression. I had never seen Jiang Li so tender before, usually even towards Anan. She was always cold. My hand holding the medicine tightened, and my heart felt like it was being crushed by a huge stone. When Anan woke up, she kept crying out for her mom. But clearly, in the next ward, Jiang Li would rather take care of someone else's child than care about the life or death of her own daughter. I angrily wanted to rush in and question her, but then I heard Anan's crying. I quickly walked into the ward and saw my daughter lying weakly in bed, her head wrapped in bandages, her eyes filled with tears and confusion. Daddy, why didn't mommy come to see me? My heart twisted sharply, and I gently wiped away the tears from the corner of her eyes, unable to bring myself to tell her the truth. Anan, sweetheart, mommy will come see you soon. Anan was very obedient. She lowered her head and gripped the bedsheets with trembling hands, timidly saying, Daddy, does mommy not like me because I'm disobedient and dirty my clothes? She likes children who are clean. Hearing my daughter's words, my hand paused while pouring water. If it weren't for me, perhaps Jiang Li would have treated Anan well. My marriage to Jiang Li was nothing more than the result of our family's long-standing relationship. But from the moment I laid eyes on her, I knew I was in deep. After Jiang Li got married, she became very indifferent towards me. Even our intimate moments felt like completing a task. I'll never forget the disgust on her face when we were intimate. But so what? I believed that one day, she would realize my worth and accept me. After Anan was born, I thought that having a child would improve my relationship with Jiang Li. But she became even more aggressive, venting all her dissatisfaction on Anan. During the earthquake, her first thought was to call another man to offer condolences, and now she's taking care of that man's son, never once looking at Anan. I couldn't answer Anan's questions, so I could only stroke her face lovingly. Jiang Li doesn't dislike children, she just dislikes me. After putting Anan to sleep, I couldn't resist going to find Jiang Li. When I saw her, she was feeding porridge to the child in the bowl. I didn't disturb her until she noticed me. Her eyes, full of warmth, instantly turned cold. Why are you here if you can't take care of our daughter properly? Jiang Li always spoke with a sting, and usually, I could tolerate it. But this time, I couldn't help but question her. You know Anan is your daughter, so what are you doing now? Before I could finish my sentence, someone walked in. Is Hao hurt? It was a man in designer suit, completely ignoring the fact that there was someone else at the door. He bumped into my fractured arm, causing a wave of pain. He anxiously checked Hao to make sure he wasn't hurt before finally relaxing. Jiang Li's gaze was fixed on the man, never shifting away. Daddy, mommy protected me, so I'm not hurt. Hao clung tightly to Jiang Li's leg. When she heard this, all three of us froze. Jiang Li quickly glanced at me, then looked away as if avoiding my gaze. The atmosphere became awkward. In the end, the man intervened. Hao, didn't I tell you not to call others mommy? It's okay, Jiang Li quickly said, suddenly very close to the man, her eyes unable to conceal her passion. Hao is very obedient. I've always wanted a well-behaved child like him. Although he behaved like a gentleman, I knew, Jiang Li and the man knew each other, and their relationship was not shallow. They completely ignored my existence. The three of them were getting along like a family. I was filled with anger, but seeing this scene, my heart suddenly felt empty, as if everything had lost its meaning. I sighed and said nothing more, smiling bitterly as I left the ward. Anan was discharged from the hospital 3 days later, and the doctor said there was nothing serious. It was just that my arm needed proper rest. Daddy, where's mommy? She said she would come to pick me up. Anan looked around for Jiang Li's figure. She hadn't seen her mom since the earthquake. Anan was very obedient and didn't make a fuss, because Jiang Li had told her before she didn't like noisy children. I held Anan's hand and waited in place, recording everything that happened in the ward before. Jiang Li probably wouldn't come. Just as I was thinking this, Anan suddenly let go of my hand and ran forward with joy. Mommy, I snapped back to reality and saw Jiang Li awkwardly holding Anan, and my previously despondent heart suddenly had hope again. I couldn't help but chuckle. No matter how disappointed I was in Jiang Li, as long as she appeared in front of me, everything would fall apart. I put on a smile and walked up, about to take the bag from Jiang Li's hand, but she sidestepped me. My hand froze in midair, then dropped down. Anan, let's go home with Daddy first. Jiang Li's voice was calm, but I frowned. You didn't take care of Anan in the hospital, and now that she's discharged. Jiang Li's gaze calmly fell on me, interrupting my words. Jiang Hui, I have a lot of things to do. Anan has you to take care of her. I opened my mouth, but in the end, I didn't say anything. Your arm is injured, and you can't go to work these days. Just stay home and take care of Anan. I need to go on a business trip. Anan's originally joyful expression instantly fell, reaching out to tug on Jiang Li's sleeve. Mommy, why do you have to leave again? After so many years of marriage to Jiang Li, she often used business trips as an excuse to stay away from me and Anan. I chuckled bitterly, suddenly feeling very tired. My tone no longer concealed, just filled with weariness. Okay, I'll take good care of Anan. Jiang Li seemed to sense my unusual mood and, as she left, she rarely explained to me, there's a problem with the company's project. This time it's really a business trip. I pulled a wry smile, forcefully pulling apart Anan's tightly held hand from Jiang Li. I took a few steps back with Anan in tow, looking calm. You're busy with your things. No need to explain to me. What's with the attitude? Jiang Li glanced at me discontentedly. She never had much patience with me. Whether Jiang Li was in this house or not didn't make much difference. Back at home, Anan pushed away my hand and locked herself in her room. I sat on the sofa, clumsily picking up a cigarette. Jiang Li didn't like the smell of smoke, so I hadn't touched a cigarette since I married her. Thinking about it now, I've repeatedly compromised my bottom line for Jiang Li. Leaning back tiredly, I felt a poke in my waist, still a bit sore. It was a photo frame. When I saw the photo inside, my carefully sorted emotions collapsed once again. The photo had turned yellow. A young Jiang Li was nestled in someone else's arms, smiling happily. It was a smile I had never seen before. My fingertips trembled, and the man in the photo reminded me of the scene in the hospital. Very similar. I took the photo down, and behind it was Jiang Li's handwriting. It looked freshly written. Jiang Li loves Lin Qing. A cliché storyline. I've tried so hard, but I'm still no match for the person in her heart. I finally understood why Jiang Li had been more distant from me and in these days. It turned out her first love had returned. The cigarette in my fingers fell to the ground, sparks splattering, causing a momentary stinging sensation. Daddy. Anan's voice snapped me back to reality. I rubbed my slightly sour eyes and turned to see Anan standing at the door, barefoot, holding a doll, tears streaming down her face. I picked up Anan, and she cried softly, I miss mommy. The room gradually darkened, and Anan, tired from crying, fell asleep on my shoulder. I picked up my phone and hesitantly called Jiang Li. The phone rang for a long time before connecting. Before I could speak, the voice on the other end was extremely impatient. I told you, I'm busy. Don't call me if there's nothing wrong. I looked at the photo on the table, my voice somewhat hoarse. Busy with what? Being with Lin Qing? The phone suddenly went silent, but I didn't rush, patiently waiting. Jiang Hui, have you no shame, rummaging through my things? I chuckled bitterly. Jiang Li would never explain to me. She would only question me again and again. So, is this why you abandoned Anan and protected your first love's son? I almost gritted my teeth as I said this. Anan, sleeping on my shoulder, trembled slightly. I don't know what you're talking about. The phone was hung up, and I heard a busy tone. I picked up the intimate photo of them and looked at it for a moment. Then I lit it with a lighter. The flames engulfed the photo, burning it to ashes, and also shattered my last hope of Jiang Li returning to our family. In the following days, I didn't contact Jiang Li again. I didn't know if it was her guilty conscience, but she occasionally sent me photos of her at work, but I never replied. When I went to pick up Anan from school, I saw her staring blankly in one direction. I called out to her several times, but she didn't respond until I followed her gaze. Despite being mentally prepared, I was still stung by what I saw. Jiang Li, who should have been on a business trip, was holding hands with Hao Hao, looking very intimate. I saw her meticulously dressed appearance, waving happily in the direction not far away. Coming towards us was her first love, Lin Qing. Lin Qing still held a bouquet of flowers in his hand, and he gallantly opened the car door for Jiang Li. I finally understood why Anan looked so lost. Daddy, don't be sad. Anan's gentle voice suddenly sounded. I came to my senses and realized a tear had slipped from my eye at some point. What's funny is that after Jiang Li got into Lin Qing's car, she sent me a message. It was a photo of her at work, still on a business trip. Can you stop sulking? Do you know how busy I am dealing with clients every day? Jiang Hui, did you lose your voice? Mobile messages kept popping up, so I blocked all of Jiang Li's contacts. Then I picked up Anan. As I drove past Jiang Li, She didn't notice me because I had rolled up the car windows, but during the stop at the traffic light, I heard what they were saying. Mom, when are we going to the amusement park? Hao Hao's voice was clear, and Jiang Li had a smile on her face. It seemed that Hao Hao calling her mom didn't bother her. We'll go tomorrow, with Dad, okay? I gripped the steering wheel tightly. My fingertips were trembling badly. Hao Hao still has to go to school tomorrow. You shouldn't always indulge him. What's wrong with indulging our own son? Their cheerful voices gradually faded away, while the car behind me kept honking impatiently. I stepped on the gas pedal forcefully, trying to conceal my vulnerability, but my hands on the steering wheel were still trembling. Yes, if you looked closely, you would notice that Hao Hao's features resembled Jiang Li's. Perhaps the child Jiang Li was protecting wasn't just because of our first love, but because he was the child born from our first love. Dad, Anan called me softly. Do I have a brother now? Children understand everything, but they only see the surface. I remained silent for a long time. Finally, in a dry voice, I asked Anan a question. Anan, from now on, will you only follow Dad? The answer I received was silence. The thought of divorce only crossed my mind once. Despite being extremely disappointed in Jiang Li, the thought of Anan still being so young made me hesitate. She really likes her mom. If we divorce rashly, it might have a negative impact on her childhood. What I didn't expect was that Jiang Li would come back on Anan's 5th birthday. Juing, why? Are you sick? I texted you and you didn't reply. I called you and couldn't get through. Do you still want to continue like this? She came back and immediately started scolding me, completely forgetting about the trembling Anan beside her. I calmly sent Anan back to her room. I continued my work with an unchanged expression. If you want to argue, we can do it later. If you have a conscience, you should remember that today is Anan's birthday. Jiang Li seemed surprised by the way I spoke to her. Her face turned red and then pale. After all, I had always obeyed her before. Her tone softened a bit as she put the bag in her hand on the sofa. I glanced at it and saw it was a children's dress. Of course, I remember it's Anan's birthday today. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come back. After all, there are still many things waiting for me to do at work. I cut off the fabric in my hand with a heavy stroke, making Jiang Li shut up. Nonsense. Jiang Li muttered something and ran to Anan's room, but not long after, an impatient voice came from the room. Why doesn't it fit? Mom spent a lot of money on this dress. It must be because Anan has gotten fat. I frowned tightly and opened the door to the room. I saw Anan's face turning red, tears streaming down her cheeks because the dress didn't fit, while Jiang Li impatiently tugged at the dress. Jiang Li, that's enough. I pushed Jiang Li to the ground directly and comforted the crying Anan. Juing, why did you feed Anan so much? Anan is a girl. I shouldn't have entrusted my daughter to a man like you. I didn't answer her, just shook out the dress. I questioned coldly. How long has it been since you cared about Anan? The dress you bought can fit a 3-year-old child, but Anan is already 5. If you really thought so, you should have taken care of her properly from the beginning. I suddenly thought of her child with Lin Qing and smirked sarcastically. Right, you don't only have Anan. This seemed to hit a nerve with Jiang Li, and her face darkened. Juing, it's Anan's birthday today. I don't want to argue with you. The atmosphere became somewhat quiet, with only Anan sobbing. The untimely doorbell suddenly rang. It was Lin Qing who came. Did I disturb you? He said, disturb, but there was no hint of apology in his eyes. He didn't even acknowledge me and went straight into the house. He was followed by Hao Hao. Mom. Hao Hao ran happily to Jiang Li and hugged her tightly. Jiang Li looked surprised and somewhat displeased, then glanced at Lin Qing. Didn't I say not to come? Hao Hao was clamoring for his mom, and I couldn't resist him, so I came. Watching Anan's birthday about to be disrupted by the arrival of this father-son duo, I couldn't hold back my anger any longer. I slammed my fist hard against the door. The sound startled them all. Juing, have you gone mad? Jiang Li subconsciously shielded Hao Hao behind her, while I stared directly at Lin Qing. Jiang Li and I haven't divorced yet, and you, as the third party, are so eager to come over. Lin Qing didn't beat around the bush either. He immediately put his arm around Jiang Li's shoulder, his lips curling into a sarcastic smile. Juing, don't be so angry. Hao Hao and Anan are siblings after all. It's good for them to get to know each other. I glanced at Anan, who was hiding not far away, and suppressed my anger. I didn't want too much conflict with them today. Anan's birthday. Seeing that I didn't retort, Lin Qing sneered. Hao Hao has never had a mother since he was little. That's why he has always called me mom. Don't misunderstand. Jiang Li suddenly approached me, holding my hand, and explained softly. But I just walked into the room in silence. Strange messages came from my phone. Each one was an intimate photo of Jiang Li and Lin Qing. I looked expressionlessly at the door, and sure enough, I saw Lin Qing waving his phone like a proclamation of sovereignty. A new message. Attached was a paternity test. It was a paternity test for Hao Hao and Jiang Li. Jiang Li had given birth to Lin Qing's child before marrying me. No wonder she didn't care about her own family. And every year on Anan's birthday, Jiang Li wasn't at home. She was with Hao Hao. She had long cuckolded me and was confident I wouldn't divorce her. And then, do you know what you're doing? How could I have raised such a naughty child like you? The scolding and crying from the living room came. I rushed out of the room. I saw Anan covered in cake batter. Hao Hao sat on the ground, crying with his hands over his face, while Jiang Li hugged him and comforted him. Lin Qing's face was so dark it seemed like ink would drip out. In front of me, he slapped Anan across the face. Zhu Yinghuai, control your daughter. Such a young age and already hitting people. Clearly lacks manners. My face went pale, and I hugged Anan tightly. I glared at Lin Qing with resentment. Dad, Anan is not a bad kid. It's him who said bad things about Dad and Mom. So Anan hit him. Anan burst into tears, burying her head in my arms. Liar. Jiang Li lost her temper whenever it came to her son. She attacked her daughter with the most malicious words. Hao Hao is so well behaved. How could he say such things? You were never close to Mom before. I really don't know if you're really my child. Do you even have a clue who your child is? My voice grew colder, and anger filled my chest with no way to vent. I took a step forward, grabbed Hao Hao, who was crying with his face covered, and slapped him hard. Zhu Yinghuai. Jiang Li screamed, looking at me as if I were a stranger. Lin Qing saw me hitting his son and rushed at me. We fought, but that guy looked like a skinny punk. It didn't take long for me to knock him down. I vented my anger by stomping on Lin Qing's face. There was no warmth in my eyes as I looked at Jiang Li. There's a limit. Jiang Li, if you think Anan is a reason for me not to divorce you, then you're wrong. Anan escaping from a mother like you who isn't responsible is the best thing. After that, I left with Anan. Jiang Li's parents called me during this time, probably after hearing about my intention to divorce, saying a lot of good things. I sent the divorce agreement to Jiang Li. This time, regardless of whether she wanted it or not, I didn't want to maintain this relationship anymore. After so many years, if even a stone can be heated up, what about a person? She never cared about me anyway, perhaps thinking I was still sulking. Jiang Li called me several times. Seeing that I didn't answer, she used someone else's phone to call me. Zhu Yinghuai, have you had enough of this? Once you sign, don't regret it. Anan is still so young. Do you want her to have an incomplete family? Her words undoubtedly touched on the thing I was most worried about. But after the incident with Lin Qing last time, I saw clearly. So what? If we don't divorce, will Anan have a complete family? Jiang Li, I won't regret it. I hope you won't either. The last sentence was almost gritted out through my teeth. Alright, this is what you said. Zhu Yinghuai, what power do you have to resist me? Jiang Li's tone turned fierce, and in the background, you could faintly hear Hao Hao's noisy voice. See, even so, Jiang Li still chooses to be with her first love. Shut up, she shouted, and the next second, she hung up the phone. I lowered my hand, and my whole body seemed to collapse against the wall as I slowly sat down. Anan was sleeping soundly on the hotel bed. I didn't know if she was sick or not. After leaving home, Anan developed a high fever. Even in her sleep, she kept calling out, Mom. A pang of pain flashed in my eyes. Jiang Li was simply not worthy of being a mother. Perhaps my words had completely angered Jiang Li. She cut off all my sources of income. Before being with Jiang Li, my career was actually okay. After graduating from college, I managed to start a small company through my own efforts. With an income of several 100,000 yuan a year, it wasn't affluent, but it was a comfortable life. Jiang Li was an ambitious woman. After marrying her, she forced me to shut down the company and find a regular job to take care of her daily life. Recently, the company downsized, and due to my arm injury, I was the first to be laid off. Without income, all the financial resources at home came from Jiang Li. Now I'm just an unemployed vagrant. Fortunately, the savings from previous years are enough to support us for a while, but Anan's condition seems to be getting worse. Even with injections and medication, the high fever persists, until one morning, when Anan started to have a nosebleed. I realized how serious the situation was. I almost immediately admitted Anan to the hospital, but when the test results came out, I felt like the sky was falling. Acute lymphocytic leukemia. Without proper treatment, the average survival period is only 3 months. However, the treatment costs a huge amount of money. I alone cannot afford such a huge medical expense. The child's illness cannot be delayed. She is still young, and the current medical conditions offer a reasonable survival rate. The attending doctor's words echoed in my mind. I lit a cigarette and put it in my mouth, my fingers stopping on Jiang Li's phone number. I never cared about face. I cared even less for the sake of my daughter. The phone rang for a while before being answered by Lin Qing. Zhu Yinghuai, do you know what time it is? Lin Qing's voice still carried a hint of sleepiness. I gripped the phone tightly, lowering my voice. I'm looking for Jiang Li. Lin Qing sneered, almost ruthlessly mocking me. Aren't you getting a divorce with Jiang Li? Now that you're broke, you come crawling back. Jiang Li is sleeping. Don't call again. We're still a family. The call was disconnected, but I still held the phone up. Second-hand smoke filled my lungs, causing me to cough uncontrollably. Every word Lin Qing said felt like a blade stabbing into my heart. Anand's illness couldn't be delayed, but the initial chemotherapy made her cry out in pain, and I was helpless. I called Jiang Li again and again. Finally, I managed to reach her. Changed your mind? Her voice was flat, seemingly certain that I came back to her because I had no money due to her cutting off my financial resources. Anan is sick, and I need money. We can talk about the divorce later when Anan is better. There was silence on the other end of the phone for a while. Jiang Li snorted coldly, her tone tinged with a touch of understanding. Don't ask me to sign the divorce agreement. And now you're finding ways to get money from me. Zhu why? Have you no shame? Using Anan's illness to threaten me. You're truly disgusting. Her words were venomous, completely unaware of Anan's pain. My lips trembled slightly, and I gritted my teeth. This money is very important to me. Please. So what? Jiang Li's ruthless words stung my eardrums. Why do I care? If you really want to beg me, show some humility. Another dismissal. I silently lowered my head wearily hitting the glass window of the hospital as I sighed deeply. I stood from morning until night. I smoked one cigarette after another until there was no one left in the corridor. Forget it. It doesn't matter anymore. Anand's condition deteriorated rapidly. I tried everything, borrowing money from people, but it seemed Jiang Li had warned them in advance, and no one lent me any. At this moment, I felt utterly useless. If my hand hadn't been injured, would I still have an income now? If I hadn't given up my career for Jiang Li, would I have been able to protect my daughter? Dad, I'm okay. Sometimes Anan would wake up and the first thing she would do is comfort me. If the illness can't be cured, Anan will protect Dad well in heaven. She's very smart and understands everything. Perhaps she overheard my conversation with the doctor. During this period, Jiang Li came to me voluntarily. I thought she finally believed what I said, but her indifferent words afterward dashed all my hopes. If you can bring Anan back and admit your mistake, we can still live as we did before. A chill spread through my limbs, and I suppressed my trembling voice. Anan is dying. Do you know that? You're not worthy of being a mother. Zhu why? Will you ever stop? I don't have time to argue with you. I'm just informing you. Jiang Li still thought I was lying to her. Anan, who missed the best treatment time, was already beyond help. The doctor shook his head regretfully at me. Clearly, all it took was money to save Anan, but I didn't have the means. Dad, I miss Mom so much. These were Anan's last words. My daughter, because of my incompetence and her mother's indifference, had left this world completely. I cremated Anan alone and put her in a small urn. There were still many things left to tidy up at home. Although I didn't want to see Jiang Li, there was no other choice. The door lock hadn't been changed. As soon as I opened the door, a glass of water exploded next to me. The shards cut my arm. You still know how to come back. Zhu why? Are you, a grown man, still running away from home? Jiang Li didn't look too good. She abandoned her strong woman image in front of others. Without makeup, she looked a bit haggard. Where's Anan? Why hasn't she come back? Jiang Li seemed to have just realized Anan's absence and grabbed my hand to interrogate me. Zhu why? Are you trying to use Anan to threaten me into getting a divorce? Her words were fierce, giving me a headache. I forcefully pushed her hand away, and Jiang Li, unable to maintain her balance, fell directly to the ground. Expressionless, I placed the urn containing Anan's ashes on the cabinet and scrutinized Jiang Li. You wanted to know where Anan is, right? She's right here in this box. Upon hearing my words, Jiang Li's face turned pale in an instant. She wasn't stupid and immediately understood what I meant. Jiang Li gritted her teeth, struggling to get up from the ground. She grabbed my collar and shook it incessantly. Is this your new trick? Give Anan back to me. Give. I tossed Anan's death certificate directly in front of her. She didn't finish her sentence. Her pupils just dilated. Black words on white paper, crystal clear. Jiang Li lost all her strength, trembling, tears suddenly gushing out. This can't be. You never told me. I smirked sarcastically. Jiang Li still refused to admit her fault, carefully cradling Anan's urn. I didn't even spare Jiang Li a glance. I remember calling you many times. Jiang Li's body suddenly trembled. But you always thought I was lying to you. This was just a trick to please you. Jiang Li, you're the real culprit. Your indifference killed Anan. She was still so young. I choked up suddenly, my gaze sweeping towards Jiang Li, a disdain I had never felt before. Despite her previous indifference, now that someone was dead, she was only concerned with crying. Sign the divorce agreement, and we'll part ways amicably. So many years wasted on her. But I never expected Jiang Li to cling to me like this, causing a scene at Anan's funeral. Zhu why? Can't we not get divorced? Look, I haven't signed the divorce agreement yet. She looked much more haggard, tears streaming down almost uncontrollably whenever she saw me. She suddenly hugged my waist, regretting with all her might. It was the first time she had lowered herself in front of me. I'm sorry. I neglected you both. But now I realize I've always loved you. I just didn't want it to end with Lin Qing like this, so I acted like this. But now I see my true feelings. I gently pried Jiang Li's hands off me. Under her somewhat desperate gaze, I smirked. Do you think that's possible? The murderer who killed her own daughter. Jiang Li, you've got some nerve. Jiang Li's figure swayed slightly, struggling to keep herself from falling, and I just watched her calmly. Zhu Why? You're so heartless. Lin Qing's voice came from nearby. He hurried over almost as soon as he saw Jiang Li, supporting her as she teetered. But Jiang Li pushed him away with force. Lin Qing, we've already broken up. Hearing this, I raised an eyebrow, and when I looked at Lin Qing again, I saw his face darken, his fists clenched. Why? Weren't you waiting for me to come back? Hao Hao has just gotten a mom. Are you going to lose her again? You've only lost a daughter. You still have Hao Hao. Hao Hao is your child. This statement undoubtedly hit Jiang Li's sore spot. She slapped Lin Qing angrily. The crisp sound of the slap echoed in the funeral parlor. You two can continue your quarrel. I've already called the police. I was happy to see this drama, but this was Anan's funeral. I didn't want her to be disturbed in heaven. Upon hearing that I had called the police, Jiang Li and Lin Qing also shrank back. Jiang Li wanted to reach out and grab my hand, but when she felt my cold gaze, she withdrew her hand. Anan just passed away. I know you're upset, but give it some time. I'll come back to you later. She looked fondly at Anan's portrait, wiped away her tears, and left. But Lin Qing didn't follow immediately. He just stared at me with red eyes, looking like he wanted to devour me. Zhu Why? On what grounds? Jiang Li loved me first. She waited for me for so long. Does she just stop loving me like that? I ignored Lin Qing's questioning. Aren't you living with her? Make her sign the divorce agreement quickly. From now on, I didn't want anything to do with Jiang Li. But things didn't go as planned. When I received news from Jiang Li again, it was Lin Qing who persistently called me. His voice on the phone was urgent and tired. Come to the hospital and see Jiang Li. She's about to die. Is her death related to me? There was an instant silence on the other end of the phone, as if he wanted to explode but couldn't. She said she'll sign if you come see her. I paced impatiently outside the operating room, watching the time ticking away on my watch. Why did you call me here? Didn't you say Jiang Li signed the divorce papers? Lin Qing looked much thinner, and his unkempt appearance made his suit look somewhat ridiculous. He looked up in shock. I didn't expect you to be so heartless. Jiang Li hasn't eaten or drunk for 3 days for your sake. Don't you feel anything? I gave Lin Qing a disdainful glance, feeling that apart from his fair face, his brain was also stupid. Anan had suffered torment and left this world. Jiang Li, even if she were cut into 1,000 pieces, couldn't repay that. In order to get Jiang Li's signature, I patiently waited until her operation was over. When she regained consciousness, I rushed into the ward eagerly. Jiang Li's eyes lit up when she saw me, as if she had regained her strength just by seeing me. Why? I knew you couldn't let go of me. I glanced around, picked up the divorce agreement on the table, and handed her a pen. Jiang Li hadn't signed yet. I handed her the pen. She gradually deflated, as if she were a soulless shell. I thought that if I experienced everything you went through, you would forgive me. I replied indifferently. Once you sign, I'll leave. Your love, Jiang Li, is just an obsession. Your personality has always been like this. The best thing is always what you can't have. Even if it's a long-lost first love, it doesn't matter. Once you have it, you'll be abandoned by Jiang Li. Seeing Lin Qing's distraught appearance, I knew he was following in my footsteps. And Hao Hao might be the next Anan. I had planned to go through legal procedures if Jiang Li insisted on not getting a divorce. But I didn't expect her to sign the divorce agreement and give most of her property to me shortly after we divorced. Shortly after divorcing me, Jiang Li married Lin Qing. At that time, Lin Qing even came to me to flaunt it, and he invited me to their wedding with great fanfare. But only I knew Lin Qing was already deep in the mud and couldn't get out. Why does she only see me as you? Jiang Li has gone crazy. She even forced Hao Hao to wear girls' clothes and raised him as a daughter. Lin Qing told me when he found me, his fair face had aged a lot since he married Jiang Li. His beard was unkempt, but their affairs had nothing to do with me anymore. I left the city. With the property Jiang Li had given me, I funded an orphanage. The children there had all lost their parents, and I became a father to each and every one of them. Late at night, I would always think of Anan and pray for her forgiveness. This weak father of hers,